Elise here at Bowman Library in our children's room with a whole new middle grade book spotlight. So it is the first week of April, and if you don't know what that means, it means it's National Library Week. I know, a week all about libraries and to celebrate libraries and how amazing these places are. So we are using that as some inspiration for our book talk this week. So our books that we're featuring this week have to deal with either books about books or books that have libraries or books that have like bookstores or bookworms or anything that you can think of that's related to books. We have them, okay? So we have 6 that we're going to take a look at, so let's get started. Our first one is called The Forbidden Library. Ooh, such a foreboding title. So Alice is sent to live with her uncle when her father is presumed dead at sea. Her uncle Garon has a huge house, but the massive library in the house is off limits, which makes it even more mysterious. Being by herself most of the time, she soon makes friends with a talking cat and a boy named Isaac, who lives next door, and he decides he's going to challenge her to go into the off-limits library. And unable to say no, she goes inside, and then she naturally then has to open one of the books inside that library. When she opens that book, Alice soon finds herself trapped inside that book, and now she has to figure out how she's going to get out of it and like what exactly is going on. It is in this book though, as she starts to try to make her way through it and try to get out, she starts to uncover some secrets about not only her uncle but also her missing presumed dead father, as well as trying to figure out who she can actually really trust. It's going to be up to Alice if she's going to survive this unexpected, fantastical adventure. This is the first in a series. If you like your adventure with some fantasy, The Forbidden Library. Property of the Rebel Librarian. So June loves books, and the library is her favorite place. So when June brings a book from school home, from the school library, called The Makings of a Witch, her parents do not think the book is appropriate and not only decide that June is not going to be allowed to read that book, but they also want the book removed from the school library so no one else can read this book. So they decide that they get a group of their parents together, and they all get together and they have these meetings, and these parents are successful in getting not only the school librarian suspended and removed from the school library, but they make a list of the books that they approve, and all the other books that they don't approve of, no one is allowed to read them or check them out and bring them home. So June decides that this is not right. You know, people should be able to read whatever it is that they want to read. So she decides if her parents can take matters into their own hands, she's going to take matters into her hands, and she starts this underground secret library in which she loans out books to her other students and friends that they are the books that they're not allowed to read. So June kind of becomes this rebel that she's encouraging her other students to read these books. But June kind of starts to find herself getting into some hot water about this, and when she's caught, it might be kind of an issue. So if you love a good realistic fiction book, you will love this book, especially as it tackles a topic that a lot of us don't think about till it happens, and that's people limiting what we're able to read. This is Property of the Rebel Librarian. Curse of the Boggin. So when Marcus takes a stand at school and finds himself in detention, his life changes in ways he could never imagined. He kind of starts to see ghosts and monsters in the school, and no one else apparently can. So people kind of start to think Marcus is going a little okay. So when he finds himself threatened by an evil spirit, he goes on this mission with his 2 best friends who believe him, because that's what best friends do. They help you out, no matter, if they believe you or not. And the goal is that they have to find this key. And the deal with this key is whoever has it, they can use it, and it will create a portal to another world, which is known as the library. And it's in this library that it's filled with all these unfinished stories of the dead. It's going to be up to Marcus to finish one of these stories in order to make everything right once again. This thriller is filled with adventure, and there's a little bit of horror, and it has a super unique library that you may or may not want to visit. So this is Curse of the Boggin. Story Thieves. So Owen thinks his life is completely boring, but that is until he's sitting at school one day and he can't help but notice what one of his classmates named Bethany climbs out of an actual book. So he's sitting there, kind of minding his own business, and out pops Bethany out of a book. So when he learns that she's actually half fictional character, Owen decides that he wants to be able to have his own adventure as well. But Bethany does not want to have to deal with him. Like, she thinks Owen doesn't understand what can actually happen from all of this. But Owen's like, I'll help you out, we'll make a deal. I will help you try to find your missing father if you agree to take me into my favorite book. Bethany agrees to it under the condition that once Owen gets into this book, he is not allowed to change anything that's already in there, because there could be some pretty epic ramifications if he does. So naturally, when Owen finally gets to go into his own book, and he does not hold up his end of the agreement, and he starts changing things, which sets off a chain of events that create a series of horrible events. Filled with fast-paced, non-stop action, you will find yourself wishing you could go into your favorite book, and at the same time happy that maybe we don't have that ability. This is the first in a series. This is Story Thieves. A week without Tuesday. So Tuesday finds herself summoned to go to where the lands of imaginary and real books are created. But when she gets there, she realizes that something weird is going on. That these lands that are supposed to be completely separate from each other are starting to collide. And it's starting to create all this craziness and destruction. While she's there, she gets to know, and it's getting super hard to keep these worlds apart. Like, it's just going to keep getting worse and worse. But Tuesday decides that she wants to help, and she makes her way to the person known as the Librarian. This is the person who is in charge of all books. And this librarian sends her on a mission to find the person known as the Gardener. This is the person whose job it is to keep these worlds apart. This journey is filled with twists and turns, and like any book, it's going to be up to Tuesday to write all of it, especially in a way that she could never have imagined, or you wouldn't be able to guess, because it's that epic of a twist. If you love a good fantasy story, you will love A Week Without Tuesday. And our last one for this week is The Ninja Librarians. You know, what a great title, A Ninja Librarian. So siblings Dory and Marcus find themselves on the start of a crazy adventure when they are chasing a mongoose through their local library. And then they find themselves in the janitor's closet. And then in the janitor's closet, they find themselves falling through the floor. When they land, they look around and they realize that they are in a secret library, which is actually the headquarters for a society of ninja librarians. These librarians go on time-traveling missions to help individuals who are having their words challenged by society. As Dory and Marcus start to train with them, a very special and historical document is stolen, and they are accused of stealing it because they are the newest people, and it only makes sense, right? Dory and Marcus decide the only way that they can clear their name is to find the document themselves and return it to its rightful place. This adventure fantasy filled with sword fighting and ninja trading is one that will keep you on the edge of your seat, almost wishing that maybe we had some real life epic ninja librarians, maybe even here at Bowman. So this is The Ninja Librarians. So these are just 6 books that we have here that deal with like books, librarians, libraries, bookstores, anything you can think of, because it's National Library Week. So come on down this week. We encourage you to come see what's going on. I hope you tune back next week when we have a whole new middle grade book spotlight, and have a great National Library Week.